What's up, party people? This is Tarkus Mossberg here from Facebook, Jude's Junk, Facebook comic book shop, and YouTube channel. About 23 degrees this morning. Got a little ski resort right over here, up north of Boise, Idaho. So now that PSA is out, the conversations of which is better, CGC, CBCS, PSA, a lot of the older videos that I had done that were just on CGC and CBCS. Now we have to count PSA. And maybe the comic book community isn't aware of what's been going on in the card community. So in the card community, people know that, and I'm not a card collector, so people know that certain 10.0s are worth more on certain graders. The fact that PSA does not have a 9.9, they only have a 9.8 and a 10.0, that means a CGC 9.9 might be a 10.0 at PSA. The market's still trying to figure out the grading for PSA books. But in time, there's going to be a reputation for PSA, CBCS, CGC. They're going to have different reputations, just like the sports cards and the other kind of cards that are graded, Pokemon cards, that I don't think CGC has the best reputation in the card grading market. I think it's Beckett or PSA. I don't know. I'm trying to get into Pokemon because my son is, but I can't figure it out. I don't know the price guides. They don't have price guides like comic books do. They just have stores where you can buy them, I think. Anyways, I digress. But they've been selling enough Beckett, PSA, CGC that they have reputations, and people know that certain cards will sell for more in the various. I guess they have platinum too, and the different ways to grade. But getting back to just comic books, people talk about the quality of the plastics. They talk about a lot of things, whether one company grades harder than another. It really comes down to what process do you use for grading. The process, not just the grading criteria, but what are your quality controls for ensuring that grading standards are going to be similar. Just like a McDonald's burger is going to be cooked the same way everywhere, is the grading standards going to be the same any time of year, any time of grader. So that becomes the bigger issue, is the grading process and quality control standards consistent at CBCS, at PSA. I did a video a while back. I don't think CBCS is. Steve Borak was the grader at CGC. He went over and ran CBCS for a while. He's been gone for a few years now. I think he was the grading guru. I think he went in and created their process. I think he created that. But they've fallen off a cliff in so many different ways. That their strategy seems to be not very wise. There it used to be a lot of good reasons to go to CBCS, and back in 2021 I had created a list of 20 reasons to use CBCS, and Steve Borak actually took that list and his company created something like it and put it on the front page of the CBC website. But almost all those reasons for using CBCS at the time are no longer valid. It's not really cheaper, it's not quicker, it's not anything, and it certainly doesn't look good, and they want to continue to fight for their strategy, which is we don't want the comic book, we don't want the label to overtake the comic book. Well, it does overtake it now. The label's just ugly. Even with the revamped ones, I'm not a fan, and if you are a fan, that's great, but the problem is the consistency. Now, when you get into grading books, as you can tell by most of the social media, none of us really know how to grade when it comes down to the details. We think we do. We think we've been experienced enough, and many of us might have expertise. The people that have expertise in the 0.5s to the 2.0s to the 3.0s, and if you put archival tape, then then you can still get a blue label up to a 2.0, but it can't go over a 2.0 if you have archival tape. Whereas if you didn't use archival tape, then maybe it would be a 1.0. And there's just a lot of interesting rules for older books. Add that to the grading process, I think, is different. When you look at the tiers at CGC, there's a different tier for $400 to $1,000 books. There's a different tier for pre-75 books. I sent in a 1944 book, and I was pretty sure it was like a 5 or a 6. Came back an 8.5. So there's different grading criteria for older books, what many of us in the industry think with CGC. Now, is CBCS or PSA as sophisticated enough to have different grading criteria, or do most of us think that's wrong? It shouldn't have a grading criteria. Well, there's different printing processes, different ink, different paper, 100 years ago. Has it been 100 years ago yet? 90, 80 years ago? So I don't really know if it makes sense to have a different grading criteria for older books. I know that many of us believe CGC does have different grading criteria, but I don't think CBCS uses the same different grading criteria for older books. I did a whole video on why their low-grade, older Silver Age books seem to get lower grades than CBCS, which is great for those of us in the industry that know this. We go out and buy an Amazing Spider-Man 1 and a 2.5, clean and press it, and it comes back a 3.0 CGC. Great. We'll do that all day long. So when you say, are people buying CBCS? Sure, we are, because we know we can crack it and press it and clean it and probably get a better grade just because the grading criteria at CGC is different. Now, people say, what's better? Better and different isn't necessarily the same thing. People probably can get the most money from a CGC, although a lot of these PSA books that just came out now, they actually got higher prices than CGC does. Now, maybe that's the novelty, that it's the new red labels. I got some PSA books, and I got a steal on them. And I'm already hearing on social media that the PSA books are not, do not have a reputation for getting good grades. Like, they're giving out 10.0s should be a 9.8, 9.8 should be a 9.6. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about that with all the videos. I know some people think that, but I picked up some 9.8s. They look gorgeous, cracked them, sent them into the Todd signing. Some of them I didn't send in any signing until the right signature events come up. I got a nice X-Men 133 9.8 newsstand. I'm going to crack it and have Claremont sign it probably, because I like the X-Men 9.8 sign books. I got another Daredevil 241 9.8 and a PSA that I sent to Todd along with the Hulk 340 9.8. So when they come back 9.8s, then it'll confirm that they probably have the same grading criteria. But if you just look at a CGC book, I was going to send in maybe 50 to 60 CGC books, all 9.8s to Todd, and I probably took out 20 because 20 of them didn't look like they would regrade it at a 9.8. So to say PSA doesn't grade well or CBCS is kind of a misnomer, because neither does CGC. It's about consistency, and it could be things are not consistent because different graders, different times of day, different times of season. There are 9.8 CGC books out there that probably wouldn't regrade it to 9.8. Same with PSA, same with CBCS. So what's better? Better is not the right question. Are the plastics with CBCS better? Maybe better than CGC, maybe a little stronger, but PSA's plastics blow CBCS's away. They are twice as heavy. That thing is like a brick. That thing's supposed to be UV protectant. I'm not so sure you'd want to trust your $10,000 book in a window because they claim it's UV protectant. That could be more marketing than a real life situation. I'd like to see a video where someone proves that it's UV protectant. But I'm sure that'll come in time, but you need to have the books. You need to let them sit in the sun, and they got to be books that aren't worth a lot so you can test the fading, blah, blah, blah. And there's different kind of sun. There's direct sunlight. There's just light from the room. So that would be a great video from one of those groups that like to smash labels and smash CGC and PSA cases and CBCSs and see which one's stronger. But from what I understand, the third-party graders might have a hard time cracking the PSA books there, and if that damages the book, that could be problematic. But I think it's obvious. We all know CGC will sell for more. When you get into 9.9s and 10.0, it's a whole different ball game. It's like guessing. It's like throwing darts. No one's going to crack a 9.9, get it signed, expecting it to come back a 9.9, right? It doesn't care if you're staying with CGC or if you're going across the board between PSA, CGC, CBCS. If you're getting a 9.9, you have zero chance in your heart, oh, I'm going to crack it, get it signed, and it'll come back a 9.9. None of us believe that. If you get a 9.9, it's lucky. I don't believe CBCS 9.9s carry any weight. PSA doesn't have 9.9s, so all they have is 10.0s. We just saw a bunch of 10.0s sell for big dollars too. You know, PSA just started grading, and ooh, magically a whole bunch of 10.0s just came out of nowhere, right? I find it hard to believe. Time will tell if the 10.0 PSAs really even carry the same weight as a 9.9 CGC. I just think you're going to see that CGC might have more stringent grading criteria. I've noticed recently a lot of people are complaining that a lot of books are coming back 9.6 from CGC, and they're saying that across the board, that they've been grading harder, which scares me because I just sent in a bunch, but we'll see. I'm more picky now which books I send in a signature series event because I don't want to take a chance. I don't want a 9.6 book coming back. So what's better? I think for right now, it's safe to say that CGC is going to have the most appeal. It's going to command the most price, all else being equal. Now, the auction site that had all the PSA books out, it's a smaller auction site. Did they do a lot of marketing? Did everybody know about it? Maybe, maybe not. I always get great deals on their auctions, so they don't have the kind of eyes that, you know, Heritage does or even eBay does. So I think the fact that the PSA slabs might not have sold as high has more to do with the auction site than the actual demand of a PSA slab. So again, what is better? You know, supposedly the plastic's better. I don't want a 2-pound plastic book to mail. That's going to double my shipping costs. That's going to be problematic. Shipping it to me, shipping it away from me, you know, a 1-pound book versus a 2-pound book, and then you got to have packaging. Once you go over 2 pounds shipping, especially international, the price goes up exponentially. So I don't think PSA is going to keep their plastics as heavy as they are. I think it's going to become problematic because double the shipping costs. I don't know if collectors are going to be willing to pay that much, you know, double for shipping, because it weighs twice as much. And once you start going over threshold, like, you know, 2 pounds, especially internationally, it goes up dramatically, more than double. So my hand might be shaking because it's a little cold out. It is 23.
Hello, would you like to ride my bike?
This little guy's in shorts. Hey, buddy, don't you know it's cold out? Hey, I don't want him riding your bike if he's got no short, no helmet. Look at me.
No, not my motorbike.
I digress. Anyways, guys, which is better? I think everybody knows CGCS is better. I think everybody knows it holds the better value. I think everybody knows that if you're going to get a PSA or CBCS, get a great deal, crack it. If you're going to resell it. If you're going to keep it, then I guess it's a personal preference. Apparently, there's enough people out there keeping CBCS in business. I don't know how that. I don't know how. I haven't seen rates that are cheap enough to justify it. Every auction, the CBCS rates are much, much lower. Back-to-back books, same grade. CBCS are always going to be lower, just because the buyer knows he's going to have to send it in and crack it and hopefully get that grade, and hopefully don't lose a grade on and I'm talking about the bigger books. So CBCS books don't sell. unless someone can actually see the book. You know, if it's an AF-15, the AF-15s I've seen CBCSs that sell lower than the CGCs. So I think it's a great time to buy CBCS because you're going to get steals. I think they're falling apart. I haven't heard anything good that they're doing or coming out with, and everything they're doing seems to be going in the wrong direction. I see absolutely, if I'm sending a book in, there was no way I'd send it into CBCS. I'm not sure why you do PSA if it's the same price as CGC. I know they're trying to get creative and competitive in some avenues, but I don't even grade raw books anymore. I just buy and sell 9.8 graded books. I do the Signature Series event. I really think signatures is the future, especially as more and more of these artists from the 80s are dying. We're seeing them die off every year. You know, they're getting older, and once they're gone, they're gone. You can't create more of those signed books. There'll be more 80s books that, you know, people are turning in more of these raw books from the 80s and 90s, and they're becoming 9/8, you know, every day. You know, even the big books, ASM 300, the Hulk 340s, there's still more 9/8 being added every month. So, but if you can get some of these artists that sign it after they pass away, there won't be any more. So those will, I think, are getting more and more attention. Although CGC is thriving off of getting signed books by current artists that no one's even considering that they might, you know, pass away in 40 years or whatnot. So again, I wish I didn't know if I should have prepared more for this video, but I don't think there's anybody saying that CBCS is better. I keep seeing some people say their plastics are better. Okay. You grade for two reasons, one for the grading and one for the plastic. So if the grading process is bad, but the plastics are better, so you got a book that says 9/8, but it's really a 9/6, that's why the prices aren't there, because most people know it's not going to have the value. Now, some people are new and they don't know any better, so they see 9/8 and they just trust it, but you can't trust a 9/8 across the board that each company is using the same grading criteria, the grading process, the quality control, the training processes are going to be, there's so many different variables that people trust the long-standing QA and process of CGC more than CBCS, more than PSA. So will that change in time? Possibly, but we'll see. So anyways, which one's better? I think we all know. I learned the hard way. I spent hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands, trying to commit to CBCS, and they just burned me. They burned me in so many ways. I had to settle with them and sign a form that says I wouldn't talk about it, so I can't even go into details, but it was a colossal mess up, and I'll never use them again. Never use them again, especially now that JSA is out. There's no reason to use them anymore. Anyways, happy hunting. Which one's better? I think we all know the answer to that. Take care.